Some fucking gabagool.
Gabagool, huh? What's up, everybody? This is the Her Business Podcast. My name is Ferris Ferrari, and today Josh is not in the studio. Instead, I got my good buddy, Mr. Gabriel Richi from the Richi and Michael Connection.
Thanks for having me. It's good.
Gabe finally finished it. So, Gabe, tell us your immediate reactions on the ending.
The ending, I was thinking about it throughout the series because it's so famous for a lot of people hating it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate it. I thought the last scene, if we're talking about the last scene in particular, and I guess it depends on what you think happened, but I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was like the most impactful last scene I've ever seen in anything,
Yeah.
where you're literally, I mean, I don't know how it feels for somebody who's watched it multiple times, but first time watcher, the emotions and the the fear you have and the paranoia that the cinematography conveys, where just the angles is like you're like, what the fuck is going on? They're playing this nice song, they're playing Don't Stop Believing,
Mm-hmm.
nice family out night out, this is good. Why do I feel like something's up here? Then the guy comes in the members only jacket, the two black dudes
Infamous.
come in,
Yeah.
and it's like you're you're like, they're trying to make you paranoid, like somebody's here, the war isn't over and they're gonna whack Tony, which I do think happened. I think that guy in the members only jacket,
You're one of
uh
those.
I think
Okay.
I think that is what happened, and I'd hope
Fair
that is
enough.
what happened because, you know, in that moment I found myself hoping Tony lives,
Mm-hmm.
even though he's such a scumbag. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a more impactful ending if it's like all of the foreshadowing leading up to that moment where he talks earlier in the season, Bobby and him are talking on the boat, and they're talking about getting killed, and
Oh, yeah,
Bobby's like,
yeah, yeah.
you probably don't even hear it
Yeah,
you probably
yeah.
don't even hear it happen. uh and then there's another point in the show where they talk about fading to black, which I can't really remember, but I know that was a thing.
It was Sil. It was the whole silence thing where like your ears blank. It was whenever that
When
dude
the
got
guy got
whacked.
shot in front of him,
Yeah, right
yeah.
in front of him.
So I think that guy came, and there's a bunch of references to 3 and 3 o'clock, and that guy came from Tony's 3 o'clock coming out of the bathroom.
Hmm.
Also, the Godfather reference. He goes into the bathroom just like Michael does in Godfather to grab the gun. I'm assuming he wasn't going. I'm assuming he just went to the bathroom to really plan his shit out, or whatever. I don't think he was hiding a gun in the bathroom. That sort of is just something that happened in the
Yeah,
Godfather. It's not really like,
I
you
heard
never
that.
know who's gonna find the gun.
Yeah, I
But
heard
I
that theory though that it's that correlation with the Godfather
yeah,
one.
yeah, I think he came out and he shot Tony. Um, Meadows, his guardian angel. Meadow was not there. It was his time to go, and that's why Meadow couldn't parallel park correctly, because she
Oh,
couldn't. If she was there in
interesting.
time, she would have been sitting in the seat right next to Tony.
Hmm.
And families are off limits, right? So either Tony got, here's my two things of what I assume would happen. Tony was killed, and AJ maybe was killed, because you never know if the son's going to come back for revenge. So maybe kill him there. I assume not. I assume just Tony was killed and then the guy walks out. But the other theory is nobody dies. It was all in his head, and he has to live in his own hell, which is constant paranoia, always turning your head. He's fucked over so many people that he always
Yeah.
he's never gonna be able to truly relax. Even a night out with his family, he's constantly looking up. But yeah, I thought the last scene was brilliant. Um, I'll let you,
Yeah,
any
man.
response to what anything I just said.
No, dude, it was great. I think it was brilliant. I hate to I hate to think that Anthony died in that last scene though. As somebody
The whole
like,
family.
yeah, or the whole
Imagine.
family. Yeah, as bad as that's even worse. And like you're right, families are not supposed to get whacked. You've seen the way they whacked Phil, like two
Right.
scenes right before. It was just one to his
Right in
head.
front of
That's
his
it.
family.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right in front of his family, but the family wasn't harmed
Mm-hmm.
other than like probably PTSD, but like no physical harm. And I think I like to believe because I feel like we grew up with Anthony Soprano, like Tony himself. I feel like we seen him grow from like this like before he became a boss until like this great boss for like 4 seasons, and then like we seen the decline, and then it felt like it was okay, and then the restaurant scene happened. So I don't know. I think I'm on the opposite side. I want to believe that he was looking up for Meadow, even though like it looked like he was reaching for something. But I want to believe it was just Meadow coming in, and they had a good old dinner, and he's still out there in
And
North
life just goes
Jersey.
on.
Yeah, and he's still out there in North Jersey running that shit.
I
Till
feel
today, they
you.
just stopped following him with cameras.
Yeah, the other I remember my uncle always saying, "You're the one the viewer got whacked." That's why I cut
Yeah,
the black for.
I
But
heard that theory too.
that implies that we were there the whole time and they were just doing all this shit in front of us and never said a word to us as the viewer. There
Yeah,
was no like cut to the camera, like it wasn't The Office. Um, yeah, I had something else I was gonna say about the ending. Oh, yeah, talk about PTSD for those kids and Phil's AJ was
yeah,
already tapped,
a nut.
already having insane mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Watching his father get shot right in front of him is not going to help.
Not even a little
It's
bit.
very dark to think about. All that being said, whatever happened, I think it's a great scene. I'd like to think that Tony was killed. It's just more impactful that way for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, if he was killed, did Paulie set Tony up? Because there's a lot of scenes. Paulie is the only guy who isn't touched, and there's a lot of scene. Paulie and maybe Patsy. There's a lot of like down during the end of the year, end of the season. There's a lot of like quick shots of Paulie just like looking kind of suspicious, just for a split second. There's, I think that's when they talked about 3 o'clock. I might not be sure, but I just watched this for the first time ever
Yeah, yeah. You're
pretty
doing good
quickly.
with the
So
references,
it's
though.
a little, my memory is a little fuzzy, but like Paulie and Patsy are taking a piss next to each other and they say something about 3 o'clock. And, everything considered, who knows?
Yeah,
Could be
I
Paulie.
haven't heard that 3 o'clock reference. It's interesting because that bathroom was like directly to his right, which is technically 3 o'clock, right on the clock.
That's why I respect the ending so much. I think that is where you end the show. That is the perfect ending for the show.
Well, for me, like I remember when I was watching it for the first time, when I seen like all these guys that I've watched for 4 seasons in a row, like Sil, like Chrissy, like Bobby Bacalao. When I seen those guys get popped the way they did, I was heartbroken.
Where you
I was heartbroken. So I want to ask you if you were to rank those, like
the
those three,
deaths,
yeah, those
how they
three
impacted
deaths.
me.
Yeah,
So I told you this, Christopher, I was spoiled for,
right. So
which
that would be
sucked.
three. That would be three.
Yeah, and Christopher, arguably the best character in the show,
Mhm.
but absolute scumbag. He makes Tony look like the Pope. Like this guy is Christopher was just awful. Um, Bobby was first, but it was over in 2 seconds. Eh, I
Just the
gotta
way he
say,
said
like,
it.
I wish they didn't make it as sad as they could have. The saddest death for me was probably Johnny Sack, just the way
Mm,
he went.
yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Johnny Sack, that scene where he was crying at his daughter's wedding and they took him away. That was
That was
heartbreaking.
sad.
That was sad as heck,
And
man.
sorry to get off track. All right, but let me answer your question. So I guess Bobby, Christopher, then Silvio, because we don't even know if Silvio's dead.
That's true.
Also,
Silvio's the man, though.
Silvio's cool. I feel like they didn't spend enough time with his character. We got little glimpses in there, just like his own personal. We saw Christopher's inner thoughts and everything. We saw Paulie's inner thoughts. We saw Tony's inner thoughts. We saw Bobby's inner thoughts. We rarely saw Silvio's. He was normally just like, "It's not good tea." Oh, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. Like he was just a conciliary. He was cool. Um, but yeah, I wish they did a little more with his character. That's a small gripe I have with the series.
Yeah. They just
Um,
show him with the asthma. They show him like as soon as he
that
gets
was funny though.
boss
When
for
when he
yeah.
was getting put out of the house on Azza, what was he saying?
Yeah.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And then Bobby, so you didn't call. Like he came up like looking for his money. That shit was funny. That was the only time I was like, Bobby, relax.
Yeah, dude. He's like on this fucking stretcher getting carried out, and he's with the fucking mask talking shit. Yeah, man. And then when Silvio fucking got to be a boss for like 2 days and he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So funny. But I think that was the great thing about his character is that he was the conciliary. Like you never heard his opinion. So he was always like the
Mhm.
the middleman on every decision that was made.
Right.
So I think that
The
was a
o-
good stripe in his character.
and I do like that he's like that, but he's also like an absolute savage. Of course,
Yeah.
he's the one to kill Adriana. Adriana's death, it's probably crazier than all the deaths we've mentioned so far.
You think so?
Y- Yeah, you just feel terrible for her. Just like the fear of knowing you're about to get clapped. Like when she gets in the car of Silvio, she knows
It's
she's a,
over.
and they show her, they do a quick scene. It's her, and this is at the end of season 5. It's her packing her bags. She's running away. And that was just in her head. And then they show you what's really going on. It's her next to Silvio. The radio's playing. And he's like, "What are you crying? He's gonna be okay." And it's
Because
like
she thought
you know
something
why she's
happened.
crying. And they just cut to him pulling her out of the car and shooting her.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking. But on the topic of death, this isn't a character who dies, but maybe the character I feel worse for is Rosalie April,
Mm.
because she loses her husband to cancer. She loses Jackie Jr. And the rest of the series, she's the one calming Carmela down. She's the one being a emotional rock for Carmela, even though she's been through all that shit. And that's just bullshit. Like the episode they go to Paris and they're just having a good time, and Carmela brings up like the deaf shit, and she's like, "Why are you bringing that up right now? Like
Yeah.
we're on vacation."
Yeah.
It's just like,
You just mentioned
um,
two of like the 10 tragedies that happened to that lady. Like one of the things the show didn't really highlight was her husband, Jackie Jr.'s father, the one who was the boss who had the like the first.
Jackie.
Yeah, exactly. The Jackie
Yeah,
and then
Jackie April.
Yeah, Jackie April, and then Jackie Jr. got popped, and then Ralphie got popped, who was her man's.
Yeah, X-Man's, but yeah,
Like all these dudes that were around her were dying. And I remember at
yeah,
one point it was just she was just like,
she's a Black Widow.
I'm surrounded by death.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
whenever you, I don't know if you ever plan to, but when you rewatch it, you pick up on so much other funny scenes that you didn't catch the first time around, or like just little lines that
Well,
flew
that's
over
me.
your head.
I go on YouTube. I'm like, that's why, like, when I'm into a show, which I've gotten to that point with The Sopranos, I just constantly watch them on YouTube once I finish
Mhm.
the series, so I don't get spoiled.
A few days ago, you asked me and Jeremiah in a group chat, what if we were one of the characters on The Soprano, who would we be? And you didn't answer, so I was wondering who you would be if you were one of the Sopranos characters.
Let me see.
I know you had time to think about this.
I've when I asked it, I was thinking about it. Um, I'd say, at the time when I asked it, I was thinking more like Carmine Jr.,
Mm.
just like not playing, sort of trying to be calm, cool, and collective. But when I really got down and thought about myself, I was like, that's really not me. I can't be that diplomatic.
Yeah, that guy's an idiot.
He is, but is he?
Yeah,
He
man.
it all works out for him in the end. It doesn't work out for anybody else.
You think he's on top at the end?
I
You
don't think
think
he perhaps. I mean, he's sort of like, let's say, I believe Tony gets killed at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I At that point, Phil's dead. Everybody's dead. He's at the top, Carmine Jr.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
him.
he's not, if he was telling the truth to Tony that day when he said he doesn't, it's not about that anymore. He had that dream about his father who was wearing the paper crown. And Tony was like, "That's cool, right? You want to be like your dad?" He's like, "No, the paper crown meant that this is all meaningless, that really spending time with your family and everything.
Yeah.
That's what's best." That's a smart thing to say. Of course, he's made the viewers should think he's an idiot for most of the series. But in the end, was it all on purpose? Phil and Tony are about to make peace, and then Carmine brings up Phil's brother getting whacked by Tony's cousin. He brings that up at the worst possible time. Did Carmine really want Tony and Phil to have peace, or was that intentional? Those are the questions you got to ask.
Yeah. Conspiracy Gabe in the building.
Yeah, I don't. But when it comes to myself, what character I see myself as, um, I gotta say, Meadows' boyfriend Finn. I respected the fact I don't see myself as him, but I feel like I would handle the situation similarly, where it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm not, you're gonna get me killed. Like you are crying over this and that. You know your dad's a mobster. You know these guys could kill me if like I something goes wrong. Um, I like that he just dips.
Yeah,
And
he's
we don't
like,
see him
fuck
anymore because
this.
yeah, you gotta get the fuck away from that
Yeah,
family.
100%.
Honestly. Uh
Especially after what he's seen Vito do, like you gotta go, bro. That's like information that he wants nobody to know.
right.
And Vito was
Oh yeah. We were just
a
playing. I was just playing. I'm just joking. When they ran into Vito in the club and Vito's wearing that like train conductor, whatever it is,
yeah,
cop
yeah,
suit.
the guy with the hat.
I'm just playing. This is a joke.
Dude, that show is
Uh,
great, man. That
but
show is so good, bro.
let me see. I'm still thinking about who I might be. Yeah, maybe Carmine Jr., I guess. I feel like I would try to benefit as much as I can off the mafia without being in it.
And for the listeners, my answer was so because I appreciate the continuity type. I feel like if I'll never be in no type of mafia or mob or like any sort of gang related activity. But I feel like if I were in a fantasy world, I would definitely be a conciliati. I try to be the peacemaker in the middleman for showsies. So call me Sil if you'd like from here on out. Call Gabe Johnny Sack. You wouldn't you wouldn't think you
I can see
Johnny
myself
Sack.
as Johnny Sack. I can see
Yeah.
myself as Johnny Sack
Yeah.
too. Sitting in the chair. First few seasons, every time you see Johnny Sack, he's just sitting in the chair smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, got his legs folded,
Yeah,
just sitting in the chair, man.
yeah,
When he was spazzing out about what Ralph said about the
yeah,
95 pound mole on her ass.
yeah.
Fucking
Polly,
hilarious, bro.
Polly said that.
Yeah.
Another crazy scene. Tony's honestly considering killing Polly on the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and Polly knows it. Uh that's a wild scene. I thought it might be raps for Polly in
You
that
thought
at that
so?
point.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I felt like Paulie was invincible. Like
You think?
he's made it through all these generations and just lived through all these different bosses that I don't know. I seen him going
He
out like
he
June
was
did.
not as loyal as he
Yeah,
pretended to be. That dude was ready to jump if need be. Polly does look out for number one at the end of the day.
that's true. But I mean, remember he went to jail in one during that 95 pound mole situation. I think
Yeah,
he was
because he
just
set it off.
yeah, I think he was just mad that nobody visited his ma. So he was just, rebellious and was just trying to, make peace with or trying to conversate with anybody in New York reached out, which could, at the end of the day, feed into that theory that you made about him setting up Tony at the end with New York.
Yeah.
We seen him, the ties are connected.
I mean, I remember texting you guys like a week ago. Like he might not be the worst person on the show, worst human being, but he's the shystiest.
Yeah,
He's the
he's the
he's the most conniving dude on the Sopranos.
yeah, without a doubt, bro.
He's not openly sick, but yeah,
Remember what he did to Chrissy which I think is the best episode when they got trapped in the
the
snow.
snow, Pine Barrens. Yeah,
That episode is so
it's a
fucking
good one.
funny.
Yeah,
So fucking funny.
my
Even
favorite
the
episode.
interior designer, his house looked like
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. He killed 15
Slovakians.
Czechoslovakians.
Oh my
That dude, I
god.
don't know what the hell happened to that dude.
That's another theory. Whatever the fuck happened to that guy.
Right. I mean, he kept doing business with that Russian guy I know after. So who knows, really? I feel like that guy would have reported back like Tony had me
All right. So
killed.
now that you finished Sopranos, where does it rank amongst all the other shows you finished?
All right. So do you want me to add in the animes I've watched or are we just talking live action television?
That's a good question.
Because
Let's
I mean, it's all television at the end of the day.
exactly. Yeah, let's do all time. Let's do anything you've ever watched in
All
terms
right.
of shows, no movies, of
So
course.
the weird thing about talking to me is my favorite, the best thing I've ever seen is an anime from the late 80s, early 90s called Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is sort of like People call it's Game of Thrones mixed with, it's futuristic Game of Thrones. It's humanity, hundreds of years from now. We've moved to the stars, and people right now they're talking about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk starting their own fucking countries in space someday with their trips to Mars and shit.
Yeah.
That's basically what Legend of the Galactic Heroes is. That is the best. There's literally nothing wrong with that show. It's the perfect. It's the perfect show. I'm sorry. It's head and heels over everything else.
How long is it? Is it a long show? Do they have
It's
seasons?
110 episodes. It's 110 episodes. They're half hour long though.
Okay.
26 minutes to like 35 minutes every episode. For that show, 110 episodes. Yeah. That's the best thing I've ever watched. Then it's probably like a 4-way tie. Staying on anime, Hunter x Hunter, JoJo, One Piece, and then Breaking Bad.
Interesting.
They're all tied for like the second spot there.
Okay.
Breaking Bad was fucking incredible. It's still the best live at. Have you watched it yet?
Nah.
You
But it's
gotta-
on my
it-
bucket list now that
it's still the
everybody's
best.
telling me about it.
It's all right. So here's how it goes. Here's how I'd give The Sopranos. Season 1 was like an 8.5 to me. Then season 2 and 3 kind of lagged for me. I wasn't a big fan of season 2 and 3 of The Sopranos. It wasn't until halfway through 4 where it really started getting good again for me. So overall, I'd give The Sopranos like, you're gonna shoot me for this. I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. Breaking Bad, the beginning isn't as good as The Sopranos. The first season of Breaking Bad is like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then it's an 8 out of 10 in season 2. And then 3, 4, 5, 10 out of 10. It's just fucking
Wow,
perfect from there on out. Yeah. So Breaking Bad would be right up there. And then, there's some animes, but Sopranos definitely it's definitely in the top 10 best series fiction I've ever seen.
10?
It's definitely in the top 10.
Okay.
I don't know where I'd put it at this point in time.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about The Sopranos, it's the stuff you don't catch I'm gonna have to watch it again because there's a lot of stuff that isn't right in the viewer's face, and it's definitely where Breaking Bad is more plot driven. I feel where it's just like you're like, what happens next? What happened next? Sopranos is more character driven, where we're spending a lot of time with Tony. We probably spend a little more time with Tony than we do Walter White, even though I think Walter White's right on Tony's level. I'm not gonna say who's better than who. They're probably right around the same playing field. But Breaking Bad's got that and the plot. I'm not saying Breaking Bad doesn't do good characters. They do. It's just the plot is what drives the show. Where The Sopranos, the characters drives the show. There was just a lot of points in The Sopranos where they kind of repeated some storylines. For example, the gambling. Tony's friend. This was great. That was a great episode. I think this is season 2. The guy who plays the bad guy in Terminator 2, Robert Patrick. He's Tony's degenerate gambling friend from high school. And that shit was crazy. In Tony, he runs the sporting goods store. Do you remember him?
Okay.
Yeah, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's in debt to Tony and his life spirals out of control.
80 boxes of ZD.
Yeah. And then they do almost the same storyline with Christopher's friend from AA, who's the writer.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets into the same situation with the gambling. And Christopher's taking his car and everything, and that guy's life spirals out of control. And then there was the constant, and of course, this is a repetitive plot, but it's building for the characters, so it's good and bad. But just the constant Tony cheating and arguing with his gumas, and then finally gets caught by Carmela. But before then, it was just a lot of like the same shit with him getting caught up with these chicks and. Yeah. Also, Dr. Melfi, the way they ended it with Dr. Melfi was a little anticlimactic, though I respected it, where it's finally she has the realization, have I really been helping this guy, or have I just been feeding his ego and making him feel better about himself when he really is just a sociopath?
Yeah.
I respected that, but it felt, after all that, it felt a little anticlimactic. Also, they have the episode, she gets raped, and that's where Tony would become like an actual hero if she actually just went to him for help one time and took that guy out. That would have been awesome.
That would have been some.
I don't know
gangster
anybody
stuff.
on the planet Earth who would be like, that's stupid because this, and this. It's like, no, you want to see that guy get his comeuppance.
Yeah, Gabe, I think we covered a lot of the Sopranos. We'll never cover it enough. Like you just said a second ago, we can talk about this for hours and hours. But I think it's a good place to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Go listen to the new episode. Gabe, you tell them where to find you.
Yeah, so this past weekend we recorded the Eastern Conference preview. We recorded the Western Conference preview for NBA basketball, which is right around the corner this coming week. Me and Jay just did the Eastern Conference, and then for the Western Conference we had a guy T on, and it was just fantastic. The Western, please listen to both, but the Western Conference pod might be the best basketball we've talked since we started this podcast.
Sweet.
Yeah, Richi and Mecco Connection. That's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast needs. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need more subscribers because we're starting to pump out content just like this guy over here, Papa O.
The content's coming.
Richi and Mecco Experience on YouTube. That's where you'll find the video versions of all our podcasts. And yeah, this will all be out. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but by Monday morning, our NBA previews will be out. And yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a blast.
Dude,
and
I appreciate it.
I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. I was counting on the days until you finished. I appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah.
This video will definitely not be out by Monday morning. Granted, we are recording this Sunday night, and Monday morning is just in a few short minutes.
What time is it? Oh yeah, you're right.
But Gabe, man, thanks for coming on, bro. You know, Sopranos is something I'll talk endlessly. Thank you for the listeners. Please subscribe to the Hurt Business, and I'll leave Gabe's links below and find them and give them a follow.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. I just got to tell you, you never had the makings of a varsity athlete.